Just as the Premier League is starting to pick up traction and the MLS playoff picture gets more clarity, bam, another international break. What's going on, guys? Dave here for our latest episode of A Soccer Fan Walks Into a Bar. Aaron will be dropping in to join me to chat top of the table surprises, international friendlies, and the MLS playoff picture. So stick around. All right, Aaron, what is going on, my friend?
Afternoon, man. It's pretty warm in here.
It's a hot one. We are 82 degrees currently on October the 6th. This is absolutely wild. I hate to complain about it because, you know, you'll see this winter my complaints about the cold weather.
Yes.
So usually the warm weather doesn't bother me, but like I said, down in the studio here with the hot, stagnant air, it can get a little bit rough, but could always be worse.
You know, as the saying goes, you can always put layers on. You can never take more layers off.
Yeah. Well, I'm not buying it. I give me the heat all day, every day, except while we're recording. So obviously, those of you that just listened to the intro, Diego is upstairs working hard. So Aaron and I are left to have all the fun here. How was your weekend?
It went well. It was actually a really good weekend. Had both the kids. We did a lot of fun stuff. Had some friends over.
Good. All right, let's hop right into it. I always start to say this, and then we go off the rails. This should be a relatively short episode. Obviously, with the international break coming up, we don't have a ton of stuff to talk about for next week. But let's hit the ground running, and we'll see where we end up. So,
also speaking of exciting things, you were on Fan Zone this morning.
I was on Premier League Fan Zone. Yes. I don't know if it's the time frame that works best for them, or what, but they try to rotate around and spread the wealth among all the fans of each club.
Yep.
And obviously, as successful as they have been the last couple of years, let's be honest, Bournemouth does not have the fan base of an Arsenal, of a United, Chelsea, Liverpool, etc. So I generally, they'll ask me on a Sunday evening. I'll double check with the wife, and I drop the kids off at school and head right here to record. So, that works for them. I'm happy to, as long as they'll keep having me. Maybe one day in the next couple of years, I'll get into London proper and be able to do the show with them, on set. But until then, I'm happy to do it right here from the comfort of this chair. So it's a cool experience. It's a great premise for a show. Secretly, I would love to, well, maybe not so secretly, I would love to get that kind of format for a show, maybe here, with our fans here. So basically it is, they don't talk to pundits, they talk to fans of each club, and it's, getting that raw,
the feel of what the fans are saying,
and the fan perspective. And it really is a very cool idea for a show. And I don't envy the producers of trying to coordinate all these fans in all these time zones, and they do a great job with it. It's got to be tough week in, week out. So let's jump right into it. On Friday, we kicked off our weekend with Bournemouth hosting Fulham with a chance to go into the Champions League spots. And it was a little bit dicey to start, but after conceding a goal in the second half, let me see who it was. It was Ryan Sessegnon in the 70th minute. Bournemouth really seemed to have woken up. 2 goals from Antoine Semenyo, sandwiched by an absolute worldie by Justin Kluivert. If you did not see the goal, please go find it on YouTube, on the Premier League. I'm sure they have plenty of clips of it on their socials and on their website. It was an absolute banger, which wound up being the game winner. And Bournemouth, as of this result, sat in second place in the league.
Yes.
Obviously, there were some other results over the weekend that changed that. But, we're here in October. It's still a little bit early.
Yep.
But now is where we're starting to get to the point where, whether it's Bournemouth, whether it's, on the bottom half of the things, whether it's, Forest and Villa and Man United, is this for real?
Well, like we said last week, we saw the first 6 games, and that's essentially the first chapter of the Premier League. Who's going to get started? Who's going to need to look to things? And now we're hitting the second 6. And once we go into these second six, we're going to start seeing the table form the shape that it's trying to be, right? Who's going to be able to fight over what? Don't get me wrong. There are still Cinderella stories where teams can go on runs that, they never expected. But this tends to be where you see that table take shape.
Yeah. Outside of what many are calling kind of a hard done loss in the opener to Liverpool. It was 2-2 in the 87th minute, I think, and they wound up losing 4-2. We could be talking about Bournemouth being the last unbeaten squad here, in English football. But, here we are, one loss, and Bournemouth sit in fourth place in the table going into the international break. Side note, Justin Kluivert scored this match on Friday. Two of his brothers scored on Wednesday and Thursday, one of which was in European play, and I believe the first one.
So a family hat trick.
Yeah. It was. You got to be feeling good for the Kluivert family right about now. But I mean, it's just the hits keep on coming. Just like again, I don't want to make this parallel because that was such an unheard of run. But, it feels almost Leicester-esque where, everyone thinks outside of the Bournemouth faithful, they don't belong up here, a little bit similar to Forest last year. And everyone, even Bournemouth fans, myself included, something's got to give. That we can't do this all year long.
I mean, we might see. You never know. You might see what gives, right? They do still have a tough road ahead in some of the matches not yet played.
Yeah,
but
their next four matches are all against teams that are currently competing in Europe.
Correct.
So that is Villa, Palace, Forest,
and City,
and Man City. So obviously Forest and Villa are in the lower half of the table right now, but those are four European teams.
But if they take 2 from 4, they're sitting on 20 points.
Yeah, I mean there's nothing. It's funny to because this is really uncharted territory for Bournemouth. You would think, okay, we're playing 4 European teams, next month or this month. Surely we can't do this. But, if you look at them on the table, we're ahead of all 4 of those clubs.
Well, again, like I said, these 6 games, they got 5 more to go out of the 6th chapter.
Yeah.
We'll see. Again, the 4 or 5 games from now, we'll look at where we look at the table.
Exactly
and say, okay.
What I said to the hosts on Premier League Fan Zone was, I am very pleasantly surprised we are where we are right now. But if this is to be Bournemouth's year to make Champions League or to make Europe, these next 4 matches against European teams, I think will dictate that. So when we're looking at the end of, what is that, match week 11 then?
Yep, 11, 12, yeah.
We'll know if this was for real or was it, and again, Bournemouth is famous in the last few years of having these great runs and then going a month where they can't get anything right. So
again, like I said, as great as it is to see the table as it is, there's also teams that will make runs and wins. They'll make teams that will have runs and losses. It just happens.
Yes.
It's part of the season.
Speaking of somewhat surprising runs right now, Arsenal, a 2-0 victory behind a goal from Declan Rice against his former club West Ham and a Bukayo Saka penalty in the second half. Fun
fact, actually, Gyökeres gave up the penalty to Saka because it was his 200th match.
And I believe the goal was his 100th goal involvement.
So correct, and it mimicked the Henry scored in his 200th appearance. So it was. I know Saka kind of had a shout out to that to say thank you, and again, Gyökeres is the normal penalty taker, so for him to give it up to Saka was
right. Arsenal did not concede a shot on target. They absolutely dominated possession. Again, West Ham currently sit in 19th place. Not a huge surprise, but like we talked about last week, it's a London derby.
It's a London derby. You have a new coach coming in.
Yep.
The players probably want to play well for them. And again, West Ham did play well. Again, it took a lot for Arsenal to crack them, and it did. Again, you see 21 shots, 5 on target. It's like, when is one going to go in?
Right.
It is also the game that we lost 2. in a row at home to them.
You said this on the pour over on Saturday morning. These are the matches that last year Arsenal drops points in, whether it's what should be a win going to a draw, whether it's an away game that could be a tricky match, but it should be a draw and you come away with nothing. And Arsenal now only by a point, but they sit in first place among a absolute jam at the top of the table.
Yep, they're gonna. I mean, the issue right now is obviously injuries. Right?
Yeah,
that was Declan Rice comes off with a back soreness. Odegaard with the knee knock.
Yeah.
It's stuff that you don't want to see. But again, they're built to bring players in. Zubamendi, as soon as Odegaard comes off, Zubamendi comes in. Zubamendi was part of the Rice goal.
Yeah.
It just happens. So it's nice to see. Again, last year we were like, this person's injured again. Now we're down a player. This person's injured again.
Yeah.
We're seeing it again this season.
But they have the depth. So far.
Yeah. And again, good. The Odegaard's only supposed to be out for 3 weeks, 2 weeks of which is the international break.
Yeah.
It just sucks that he actually broke a record for the Premier League. He's the first player in 3 straight matches to be removed before halftime.
Yeah. When you said that in Discord, it's one of those things where like you kind of mentally like it registers for you, and then you see the stat and you read it and you're like, oh shit, like how is this happening to him?
You got to feel for the player because you know that the thought of being injured is there, and that's what he was fighting for. The end of last season, you saw he came back, he was not himself. He was struggling to get the shots right. He wouldn't even take shots anymore.
Right.
And finally, this season, he's coming back out of his shell. He's finally doing well, and he takes 3 knocks, and he's back to the point where like, does he start playing mind games? With
Right. This is a far cry from the Odegaard that was happy-go-lucky. I still remember it as if it were yesterday. I believe it was early last season when after the match on a big win, he took the camera and was celebrating and taking pictures.
It hurts to see his head in his hands.
It does.
But again, they came away with the win. They get the 2-week break. Hopefully, they can get some people back. There's word that Havertz is very close to coming back. So here's the thing. Gyökeres has been playing 10 straight games. He hasn't had a break.
Right.
It'll be nice to give him that break that he needs, put him on the bench, bring him into some fresh legs so we can see him in that role.
So I'll ask you, and I'll defer to your knowledge base on Arsenal. Is Zubamendi a like for like, maybe medium to long-term replacement for Odegaard? Do they need to go elsewhere? Do they jump into the winter transfer window in a month or two and try to replace him, or
I don't
at least
think so.
him?
I don't think so. It's like Saka. Saka's always injured, but when he comes in, he makes up for it.
But at what point? We saw what happened with Kai Havertz last year. It's good to have that great player when he's available, but if you cannot rely on their availability,
as much as I don't like talking about him just because of all the garbage that's going on with him in the background, the previous midfielder, the Ghanaian who's in trouble for
Thomas Partey.
So he was an example, right? Partey was an example where if you had Odegaard, Rice, and Partey in the midfield, it was perfect. However, he kept getting injured too. But he was also that person that was like, okay, when we get him back, we will be at full strength. Yeah. So that's the thing is like, I don't think we replace Odegaard. I think maybe he tries to figure out what's going on in the either within the next.
Okay, so let me maybe rephrase it. Do you think they make a splash in the winter window for maybe a rotation guy? So Odegaard
they've got so many midfielders. Yeah. They've got so many midfielders. I don't think they splash.
I'm just trying to think, like, does Arsenal need to protect Odegaard from himself? I mean, it's not like he's playing a ton of minutes either because he's constantly getting hurt. I don't know.
I wish I had the answer for it. I don't think if Arsenal brings in anybody, they bring in one more player. Yeah. And the problem is right now I have no idea where they put him.
Right.
Where do you put him?
Yeah, a lot of those winter.
It's like a final, like it's like one of those, like you see it in the MLB where like a guy's on his last his last year on his contract. Yep. There's a team that's winning. They could use that one final puzzle piece. They go out and they get him, and they only keep him for a year, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like if anything, Arsenal goes and gets a loan
It's very well possible.
As much as I love Gyökeres, they might go for another striker because again, they're still 2 down. Havertz is still out, and Jesus is still out.
As much confidence as I and most Arsenal fans have in Gyökeres, I hate to put it in this phrase, but because it is still early in the season still, but he has not met expectations yet.
The guy has 3 goals in 10 games. It took Bergkamp 7 games to get his first goal. You see it. The guy he's still getting used to it. But the thing is he's putting shots on goal. The Martinelli goal was only because it went off the post.
Yeah.
Right. He's putting the shots where they need to be. He's pulling 3 defenders on him, which is why Rice and Saka can put goals in where they need to go, because he's pulling the defense towards him, because they know if he gets past them, it's 1v1.
Yeah.
And that's what he was known for that's what he was known for.
To me, that's been one of the secrets to Erling Haaland's success is, they have so much other quality around that you can't put 2 or 3 guys on Erling Haaland, because then everyone else is just walking through the back line.
The other thing with Haaland too is he's a big guy.
Yeah,
he can score not just with his feet but with his head. Gyökeres doesn't seem to be that, because again, Arsenal's aerial
he is an imposing presence.
Correct. He's great with his feet. He's great on the ball. The thing is that when they go to set pieces and corners, it's Arsenal's defense that shines on those things.
Yeah, Gabriel,
Saliba. Yeah, they're always in the air. They're the tall guys. So again, I feel like Gyökeres is doing what he needs to do. He's fitting in. Again, they're 4-1-1. They've lost the one that they got the draw against the dreaded City match that they always dread. They lost to Liverpool on a great shot that there's nothing they can do against.
1-1.
Yes, they've allowed 3 goals in total, and look at this. They still have the most goals scored.
Right.
They have the most goals.
City's got one, but your point stands true.
Yeah.
I guess not by far, but by 2 goals, they have the best goal differential in the league. City is 2 behind them with a +9, Arsenal at +11.
Yeah.
Tottenham +8, and then actually quite a drop off. You have several teams at +4, and then little old Bournemouth at 3.
Yep.
Man United -2.
-2. Yeah. Listen. Last season they were in. I think they were in positive, but they were in 16th, 17th.
Right. Yeah. So, again. Yeah. We have a job to do here, regardless of how early in the season it is. We'll preface our own talks at this point in the calendar with take it with a grain of salt.
I'll end it on this. They're winning, they're gelling. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
I was gonna say, do you think so far everything that we've seen and heard, I don't think Gyökeres cares, and I don't mean that in a bad way. He'll take a 5-goal season if it means he's contributing to a title-winning team.
Yeah. I want to see somebody frustrated over not getting a penalty or over hitting the post. Like, that's what he's doing.
Right.
He's mad because he's not scoring.
Yeah,
which means he's hungry.
And your point stands true. He's doing maybe not all the right things, but a lot of the right things. Yeah. And now they're leading the league thanks to Chelsea, of course.
Yes.
Chelsea-Liverpool, which was a match that had all the potential for a firecracker of a match, and it lived up to it.
Yeah. It also had Liverpool's special ability falling back on them. Of being able to pull that extra time
for sure. So Moises Caicedo score another great goal, similar to but not as good in my opinion as Justin Kluivert's in the 14th minute. Cody Gakpo drew things level in the 63rd, and then a 95th minute goal from the young starlet Estevao settled all things there. 3 points to Chelsea.
Yeah, I would have been happy with the draw, and Chelsea pulls out the win, so I'm a little bit more ecstatic than I would have been.
Really makes you wonder, though. Again, obviously you are Arsenal through and through. You're leading the league right now, but to me there are 6 or 7 teams that could win the league this year, just based on how inconsistent a lot of these teams are being, Arsenal included. Arsenal obviously right now seem to be, them and maybe Bournemouth are the 2 hottest teams in the league. But things are so tight. I mean,
well, again, it's been the first 6 matches. We have to remind ourselves there's 38 games.
But you look at
it's
how
been 6 of them. We still have 32 weeks.
You look at how inconsistent and not great Man City has been.
But I mean, look where they're sitting. That's the thing. Manchester City is still 5th, 3 points off the top.
But that's
one
my
loss
point.
and 1 win, and they're back in first.
And that's the point I'm making. Is we've been talking.
Here you go. We just said there's no undefeated. We're 6 weeks in.
Yeah.
There's no team undefeated still.
Yeah.
Right. Last couple of years, the top 2 teams have been 6-0 or 5-1 because they played each other.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm here for it. It'll be, make for a very exciting, festive window. And if this trend continues with the top of the table like that, then, it's going to be a great home stretch come spring.
But I mean, back to like the Chelsea-Liverpool game. I mean, again, I called it 2 weeks ago, and I said that Liverpool have 6 tough games ahead of them. 4 of 6 tough games. It's going to show what they're for, and they've lost 2 of the 4.
3.
Yeah.
3 on the bounce.
Exactly. So they are now 0-3 in the 6 games I called, and it's showing that they have a little bit of work to do as well.
Yeah. All right. So that'll do it for England. We'll do a quick rundown of the Premier League table going into the international break. Arsenal leading the league right now this is all through 7 matches played, by the way. Arsenal leading on 16 points, Liverpool 15, Tottenham and Bournemouth on 14, Man City in 5th on 13, Palace on 12. Then you have Chelsea, Everton, and still surprisingly Sunderland in the top half of the table with 11. Man United round out the top half on 10. Then as we go into the bottom half of the table, Newcastle, Brighton, and Villa on 9, Fulham and Leeds on 8, Brentford 7, Forest on 5, and then in the relegation zone, Burnley and West Ham on 4.
Yep.
And lowly Wolves still yet to register a win on 2 points after seven matches. Yeah, it's been very trying for them. I this early, I don't see any way out for them.
I mean, the teams ahead of them are only ahead by 3 or 4 points.
Right.
They've tied twice.
But
so obviously they've routed something to the point where they're no longer losing. Now they got to figure out how to win.
Yeah, which I don't see it happening. Yeah. I don't see anything in their squad that says they can shake out of it. Again, maybe
you never know.
Maybe they're a squad that goes into the winter window and grabs something.
Yeah. Again, you never know. Again, depending on how close that bottom race is,
right?
Anything could happen.
Because we're also with that assumption, you're assuming that the teams just above them also are not going to get anything right.
Correct. I mean, again, look at who they are talking about.
Yeah,
you're talking about a newly promoted Burnley. West Ham under Nuno,
I do think they come good. Okay. I think they get out of the relegation zone.
Forest? Do you think Forest rewrites the ship?
No, I think Forest gets the drop.
All right.
Brentford without Thomas Frank, I think they are probably primed to maybe drop as well. Okay. If West Ham can come good. So I think it's Wolves. I think it's Burnley.
Yeah.
And I think it's either Brentford or Forest. I think Leeds has the firepower in them.
I've said it a bunch of times. Talk to me on match day 12.
Absolutely.
And if they're still sitting there, I'll be like, yeah, they're gone.
You heard it here, match day 12. So that'll put us to, let's see.
Yeah, 6. Like I said, it's the next 6 chapters.
So match day 12 would put us. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll talk December 1.
Yes,
our first show of December.
Yeah, I mean, again, going into the Boxing Day right before the winter transfer window, a month ahead of time.
Yeah,
see what players need, see what teams need.
No, I'm with that. Again, obviously, we do this show weekly, and we like to talk, and we have to talk about,
I mean, that just goes to show you, people are like, oh, Manchester United's playing terribly. They're in the bottom of the half. And then they get one win, and now they're back in the top half. And it's like, okay.
So on Premier League Fan Zone, I don't recall who it was and where they were from. But they're talking about, getting into Europe now. I'm like, dude.
But that's the funny thing, because again, they're on 10 points, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing separating them from from thing is a win and a draw.
2, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, I mean they're Chelsea's on 11, I think, right?
Yeah, Crystal Palace is on 12. Like it's one win away. Like so.
Yeah.
So again, it is way too early. Like once you hit that third of the way through, that's when you're like, okay, cool. I see where we're gonna stand.
All right, let's jump over to the continent. A very interesting result in Spain. Sevilla at home in the Diego Maradona derby, as he played for both of those squads. Sevilla 4, Barcelona 1. 2 goals in the first half, one from Alexis Sanchez of Chilean fame, another one from Isaac Romero, a Marcus Rashford goal in stoppage time of the first half. Speaking of Man United, made things look maybe pretty close, 2-1 at half, and then 2 goals in the 90th and 96th minute from Sevilla to separate themselves. So 4 goals on 5 shots on target, despite less than 40% possession, and Sevilla comes out with the victory.
I mean, it just goes to show you in soccer that no matter how good you are, if the other team is more clinical,
right,
in their finishing, they're going to take the win. And again, you could see possessions and shots on goals, but if a team comes out with 4 shots, 4 goals, it's like you gotta give it to them.
Yep. Atleti also drew, so just when we thought they were coming good, they had that win against Real Madrid. Then they had a huge win in Champions League. They dropped points again. So Real Madrid right now lead La Liga, 7 wins and 1 loss through 8 played, 21 points. Barcelona 2 points back. Villarreal on 16 and Betis on 15.
Yep. I mean, no undefeateds in this season either.
Right.
Like you got, Madrid lost to Atleti, Barcelona loses this time around. But it's looking like a 2-horse race again. You got Madrid on 2 points ahead.
I
next team down is 3.
I know this is kind of I don't know if pet peeve is the right word, but I know this is a thing for you. And until we see more of a sample size in Europe this year, I always wonder, is it
don't get me wrong, I enjoy seeing the top 4 fight, right? Because I haven't seen Villarreal really do well since the Yellow Submarine years. Back in like 04 or 05.
I have I'm gonna find my Villarreal flag. 1 second.
Betis with getting Anthony to come in, playing pretty well. It's good to see them up there. Madrid, weirdly enough, is normally used to being in the third. Athletic being in third, but they've struggled a bit this season. And like I said, it's just interesting to see how that 4 is going to take off.
Sempre en devant.
There we go.
The Villarreal flag.
Yep.
Signed by Giuseppe Rossi, actually. So.
Like I said, it's just interesting to see. Like I like to see that 4 fight because it's always teams that you never expect. It might be like a team, again, Villarreal coming back from their wonder years. Betis you normally don't see up there. Atletico Madrid normally is where Villarreal is, but and Sevilla who's won. The
angle I was looking at is if Real Madrid and Barcelona wind up blowing teams out of the water in Champions League. It's not Villarreal and Betis and Atleti are not playing well. It's these 2 teams this year are just head and shoulders above. And that was, that's the point I was making, where it's a little bit too early to kind of see where all that is at.
I've always wondered, and again, I don't mean to extend our things, but as someone who I watch soccer, but I'm not as super in depth in it.
Right.
But I've always wondered, you do get Real Madrid and you get Barcelona winning all the time. And yes, they do have star players all the time. They always have the wonder kids and that kind of stuff. But the thing is that can you chalk it up to also the Premier League has rougher matches?
Yeah, right, I mean, that's the age-old argument of, there's more money in the Premier League. So even, the 18th place team has a bigger budget than, the 4th place team in Spain or in Italy. It's a more physical
I've always wondered that because you seem to have more gritty games, more grindy games, and because of that, it tends to dog on the English teams more, and that's why the Spaniard teams, the German team, Munich, they seem to get into those quarterfinals and those semifinals of the Champions League a little bit more because they're not as tired, they're not as beat up, they're not as worn down.
I think there's a few variables at work there. I think one, just by way of language, there's much more access to Americans to the Premier League. There's over the years maybe not so much compared to Bundesliga, but there tends to be more Americans playing in England than other countries, so there's that familiarity.
There's more eyes on the Premier League than other leagues. So again, like I said, it's from a person on the outside looking in who's now starting to pay attention more to other leagues and trying to wonder why has there. Well, I'm just trying to wonder why has there been that dominance in those leagues.
I had this idea years and years ago for a fourth European competition. Again, not that we need more competitions and this and that, but as a kind of fun way to gauge that, what is the strongest league? Can we, and this would also maybe potentially put more money into the coffers of the clubs that might need it, is something like a debutante cup where all the newly promoted sides in Europe play in a competition. So you have, Burnley and Leeds playing against, the teams in Spain and Germany that just got promoted. You have, and I think, that might be a fun way to give another metric on, okay,
England where does our second league sit?
England is the strongest team in the league, strongest league in Europe.
Champions League B. It's the second tier winners playing against each other. Instead of saying newly promoted, you could say they won the second tier. They're going to play in the second tier.
And is that indicative of the strongest league? If if Burnley playing against the champion of Liga Segunda. And it's Burnley wins by 7 goals. Okay, you know what? England is the strongest league in the world. Like it's that simple. Or maybe it's not that simple. But I always thought that would be fun.
It's also coming from someone who enjoys the Greek Cup, and Olympiacos freaking wins every single time.
So there you go.
But for them, it's the money. That's why they have the money. They go buy the star players that are retiring, and that's it.
Hey. Although AEK Athens is starting to beef up their squad a little bit with some.
Let's also not forget that like 6 years ago they were relegated twice for bankruptcy. Okay, they won 2 leagues in a row. They got enough money to get a new stadium, which is a beautiful stadium, by the way. But yes, now they're doing well. They've won. They're sitting in first, just like Arsenal are. It was a very good week. It was a very good weekend for me. I was
going to say, what a year
very good weekend
for you.
Me, yeah. Panathinaikos is also sitting in 6th, so it's like
even better.
It's like Arsenal to Tottenham. If Tottenham falls down a little bit more, I'll be just as happy.
That was another comment that I made upstairs in the tap room over the weekend.
Despite how bad they've been playing, they're in 3rd place.
I know, and Chelsea, who sit in 7th place. Are the 4th best team in London right now.
Nope.
It's obviously it's all cyclical and random.
There's
but
people know like the 6 main teams in London, but there's a lot of teams in London. There's a lot of teams in London. So I never realized how big the Premier League, like the teams that have chances to get into the Premier League was like the leagues that they have.
Yeah. No, it's wild. Yeah. So on that note, let's take a quick break and then we'll be back with 100 miles to home. What's on tap? And a couple little news drops for you. All right. Stay. All right, welcome back to A Soccer Fan Walks Into a Bar. Aaron is here beside me. I'm Dave, and we are here to cover now 100 miles to home, our MLS and American soccer coverage, and even within that, hyper-local.
Well, listen, there's a guy that's not necessarily 100 miles within that that radius. There's a guy that's across the pond that's been watched that game.
Actually, but in my defense, Philadelphia is just beyond the 100 miles. So,
he messaged me. He's like, "Oh, you guys aren't going to do a live reaction?" I was like, "You said no."
Yeah,
you said no, so we didn't do it.
For those of you that are unaware, Philadelphia played New York City over the weekend. One of our, founding members, so to speak,
our new Philadelphia,
and a very active member of our Discord, is from Leeds, but will be moving to Philadelphia and has adopted alongside
for some reason the Philadelphia
but
teams.
the Philadelphia Union.
It hurts. It hurts.
So we tried to get him to see if we could do a live reaction to the match, and
maybe next time.
It was 1:00 in the morning at kickoff for him. So I guess we'll give him the pass just this once, but.
Like I said, when he comes over for a visit, we're gonna have to get him up here. It's only about a 2.5 hour.
Listen, and maybe we'll do a field trip to it's not called PPL Park anymore. What do they call it? It's supposedly a gorgeous stadium in Chester.
No, maybe ring their bell.
Philadelphia Union Stadium is
Subaru Park. Awesome.
It's in Chester, which is, I don't know if things have changed. It's not the greatest area in the world, but
I mean, areas around Philadelphia are a little
right. But this is right on the river. I know where that is. Yeah. I would love to.
There's an awesome aquarium down there.
Yeah, I would love to catch a match here. Maybe we'll make a weekend of it, and we'll do some IRL streaming.
Yeah.
So
listen, I am always down for field trips.
All right. So let's cover the match. Philadelphia Union, who were leading the league in the Supporter Shield race.
Yes.
Came out with a 1-0 victory.
Yep, it was very grindy.
It was very, very grindy. New York City was pelting the Union goal throughout the match, but mostly in the second half. Jamaican international Andre Blake looked incredible.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of those games where, again, no matter how many shots you put, no matter how much stuff you got, like that one can still seal the deal.
And it's funny, we always say you can push the stats to wherever you need. NYCFC with 7 shots, only 2 on target. It did not feel like that in the match. I mean, there were many chances, dangerous areas, and despite dominating possession, NYCFC could not break them down. And with this win, Philadelphia does claim the Supporter Shield for the best record in MLS this year. Not only that, but this is Bradley Carnell's first year with the club. So, to have an accomplishment like that in year one really is something special. And then, obviously, this game was in Philly and right over the river into New Jersey. Red Bulls were hosting FC Cincinnati.
Oh.
And
another grindy match.
Yeah. Denke had a beautiful shot in the 12th minute to score. The only shot on target for Cincinnati. Only 4 shots on target between both teams. It was not a fun match to watch.
But again, it just shows if you have that finishing, it can win you the game.
Yeah, and Denke is certainly that kind of player. Yep. He is a player that if he gets hot, they will be extremely dangerous.
Is that his whole name?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, there's 4 names across that.
Ahueke, Steve, Kevin, Denke. And yeah. So
the Steve and Kevin is what throws me.
Yes.
Yeah, no. That's awesome.
But yeah, no, it was I hate to put it in these words, but almost a fitting end. Although we do still have decision day in 2 weeks, but a fitting end for the Red Bulls, where it was almost kind of lifeless as the season went on.
I'm scared for them in the offseason because they got 2 players who played really well, and the poachers are going to come. And are they going to be able to retain?
Yeah, I mean,
are they going to have to rebuild? What's happening?
So the interesting thing you get in the MLS, for the most part, and this kind of goes back to the quote unquote retirement league, mantra that they've been trying to shed for years. And I think they're getting there. But players like, I assume you're talking about Emil Forsberg and Choupo-Moting, they want to be in New York.
Okay.
They're I hate to say it, but it almost doesn't matter how good Columbus is playing or Cincinnati.
New York has
they want to be in New York. The
city of New York has always had a pull.
So I've
understood that, yeah.
And I think that is why those 2 players are where they are.
Okay.
Not to say that.
But if a European team comes calling,
I mean, I don't know.
Do you go play in Europe?
I mean, they came from Europe. They came from good clubs in Europe.
Yeah.
Emil Forsberg was at Red Bull Leipzig.
Mm-hmm.
I think Choupo-Moting played was he at PSG? Let me bring him up real quick. Choupo-Moting started at Hamburg, Mainz, Schalke, PSG, Bayern. Like so,
he was at Munich for 4 years before this.
Yeah. So he's been in Paris. He's been in Munich. He spent a few years in Gelsenkirchen with Schalke.
He has a storied career. Like obviously he won stuff at PSG. He won stuff at Bayern Munich.
Yeah. So 74 caps with the Cameroon national team.
So this is his first year at Red Bull, so I could see him staying. Okay. I thought these might be like I'm still on the outside looking in.
Right.
I thought they might have been newer players, to Red Bull.
No. Yeah. I mean, and Choupo-Moting at this point, he's 36.
Yeah. Does he stay?
Well, not only that, but I mean, are there other suitors out there in Europe that want him?
Okay. So essentially, what you're saying now is Red Bull can build upon them.
I mean, they can.
Right. They have to.
The question is, will they?
Forsberg
is younger. He's 33, and I believe he spent most of his career at. Yeah, a couple of years at Malmo, and then he went to Leipzig, and obviously now still within the
243 games.
The Red Bull system. It's just and if you talk to just about any Red Bull fan, the knock has always been, you're maybe the most successful company, or one of the most successful companies on the planet. You make all this money. Why aren't you spending it on New York Red Bulls? I guess. I mean, and perhaps
I don't know. I've never been a big fan of like the companies coming in buying, and then all of a sudden the team goes from having a set limit on what they can spend to here's my unlimited funding.
You saw it with Newcastle. They've also owned the club for 15 years now.
Yeah.
So, it's not like this is newfound riches, and
my favorite player Henri got to play for them. It was fun. Adu played for them. You had a lot of good players in the past, but I just wish they could get over that line, of winning.
Yeah. So let's. So they are mathematically. Well, they were last week. They were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. All of the East, I believe, is spoken for. There is still the possibility of teams moving up and down within that, but all 9 playoff teams in the East are set.
Yep.
As it stands right now, as it's loading, Philly obviously with the Supporter Shield, Cincy in second, Miami third, Charlotte fourth, NYCFC fifth, Nashville sixth, Orlando seventh. Chicago back in 8th and Columbus in 9th. Yeah. And then obviously that 8-point drop to New York Red Bull. So as it stands right now, it would be Chicago, Columbus in the play-in match. Yep. Now out west, there are, I believe, 2 spots available for 4 teams. Yes. So San Diego is leading, level with Vancouver on 60 points. Minnesota in third, LAFC in fourth, who again stays red hot with Son and Boanga. Then fifth is Seattle, Austin in sixth, Portland in seventh, and then currently Dallas in eighth on 41, RSL on 40. Then Colorado also on 40 on the outside looking in right now, and San Jose on 38. So all those last 4 teams I mentioned could all make the playoffs.
Here's the thing. Speaking, like we talked about playoffs last time with MLS, and we talked about the thing. I think my last issue is also how do you feel about the 1-game winner goal?
What do you mean?
Right? Do they still play home and away?
So the play-in match is a one-off.
One-off, yep.
And then I believe it is the first round is best of 3, and that
best of 3.
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason being, they want to still give advantage to the team that does better in the season. So they don't want to do a home and home, which they've done in the past.
Yeah.
So instead of giving it a one-off at the site of the better team, they want to reward every team that makes the playoffs with a home playoff match.
Okay. So, I figured, wouldn't they just do what like home and away what the Champions League does? right?
So they felt that did not give enough of an advantage to
the home team.
Yeah, to the better team. So right now, San Diego's in first. I'm just going off chalk here.
So it gives
Dallas
them a third
is
game to win.
So if San Diego and Dallas play a home and home, is that enough of an advantage to San Diego?
So they're trying to do the baseball style thing. The 3 games,
a more American style.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it makes for more soccer, which is cool to see, but it feels a little off. That third game kind of feels a little misplaced.
I agree wholeheartedly. I believe there's no extra time. All 3, any of these matches,
it's just win or loss, right?
It goes straight to penalties.
Yeah.
So it's not a little. It's very quirky. You also in years past have had international breaks.
Is the MLS final also just one game? Or?
MLS final is a one-off.
One-off. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect.
So and that's another thing that pisses off a lot of soccer
why
fans.
Do you have 3?
You have a one-off, then you have best of 3, then you go back to one-off. Just make up your mind. And do something. And obviously the October and November international windows also wreak havoc on the playoff format. So it's a very interesting thing. I don't know that anything's going to change with it because more home playoff matches is more money, and
MLS loves it much.
Well, and it's not that's not just the MLS. Right, wrong, or indifferent. It's where we are. So that will do it for 100 miles to home. Let's check out what's on tap. Again, a very light week with the international break. And then obviously, here locally in the U.S., we have Columbus Day weekend. So, we end our Oktoberfest celebration, Newtoberfest. We should have added that to what's on tap. No pun intended. But Friday night at 8:30, we will be live on Twitch, sidecasting USA Ecuador. A bit of some old faces, some new faces. Tyler Adams is not in the roster for this window. Apparently, his partner is due, to give birth, within the coming week.
Congratulations.
So
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Another addition to the Adams family. I know. I was joking with some of the Bournemouth, supporters club leaders in other countries and in Bournemouth about, making a chant for Tyler Adams to that tune. I still think it has legs. So, and then Saturday night, at least locally for us here with our population and our good friend Diego, Mexico Colombia should be a very good match. I think
both teams have qualified. I think they're finally figuring out what their teams and their lineups are going to be for the thing.
And this game is in Arlington, Texas, by the way. So again, I mean, I'm sure there's stats behind it, but I believe Mexico plays more home matches in the U.S. than they do in Mexico.
I've always found that interesting. Just the amount of matches played in the U.S.
It's the money, the size of the stadiums, the infrastructure, and there's just as many Mexican fans here in the U.S. as there are in Mexico. They're not going to have any trouble selling out that stadium. So, I give the people what they want, I guess. I don't know where it sits, but
I have no idea. Speaking of international matches. Speaking of international matches coming into the US.
So one for the road. It broke this morning that UEFA has approved the proposal for a La Liga match between Barcelona and Villarreal to happen in December in Miami. They the article, this is as per ESPN reporting, they quote unquote reluctantly approve the match, essentially on the basis that FIFA's wording is a little ambiguous, and they don't feel, La Liga or UEFA rather don't feel comfortable coming down with a straight no based on the wording that comes from FIFA. So it's kind of FIFA didn't say yes or no, so we can't say no based on that, and we don't want to step on their toes by them giving the green light and UEFA saying no, you can't do it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things that you could chalk it up to. It could be obviously, again, they talk about a league match between two pretty good teams, depending on no home and away because they're playing in Miami.
That's another thing here. I mean,
it could be also the issues going on with the U.S. right now.
Oh no, honestly, that's got to me. I don't think
you don't think that's
the political landscape has nothing to do with it. But I
mean, and again, you got FIFA, chirping and stuff, so you never know.
Yeah.
But like I talked to you beforehand, I feel like it's a good thing. You already have NFL games, you have MLB games, you have NBA games that are happening outside the U.S. in other countries. They're successful, right? It was a Yankees-Red Sox game in England, which was literally it was like a reminiscence of the freaking Revolutionary War, and England went ape shit for it. Like they loved it.
I know, and we all knew this was coming eventually. It was just a matter of time. I mean, if I were local to Miami, I'd be busting my ass to try to get tickets to this. So it's kind of like we talked about with Club World Cup. Do we like it? No. Are we going to watch it? Yes.
I don't know. I like it. I like the idea of one match played in the U.S.
I
wish it wasn't like middle of the season. Like if you said the first match, right? It would be played just like they do in the MLB. The first series is played in Japan between the winner, right? They normally take the World Series winner and they put it up against another team in their division. So it's a division game, so it isn't important. And they do 3 games in Japan, and or was it? I think it was Japan. And they just the Japanese fan base just eats it up, and they love it. And then you take the NFL, right? NFL's playing in Germany now. They're playing in Mexico now. They're playing in Europe, in England now. And those fan bases, again, I met a fan of the Giants through Twitch that he lived in Germany. I just didn't know. I was like, cool, you're a Giants fan living in Germany. How did it happen? I have no idea, but and it's just one of those things. It's good to see that the sports are growing, and maybe it is something that will help soccer grow a little bit more.
I agree with you. I'm just trying, where is the line? Is it one match a year? Is it maybe one in the winter and one in the spring? What I don't want to see is one game in every match week now is here in the States.
No. Like I said, I think I would take the first game. I would take maybe one or two of the first games that are not super significant, right? Because again, they're both teams trying to figure out the ways to do things. It would still technically be a friendly match in play style, but in reality it would still count.
I mean, I think so. Couple issues with that potentially is obviously the weather in August. If it's a La Liga match, for instance, other than like New York and really, I'm trying to think of other cities, and I'm sure I'm missing many cities. But
I mean, listen, English teams can play in Seattle. They love the rain.
But for La Liga, does Seattle have that market for them? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. So
listen. If you give any game enough time, that thing will sell out.
I'm sure. Well,
if you give any game.
Did you see the Club World Cup?
I mean, I heard about the Club World Cup literally the week it was starting. So that's not on me. Like again,
I think maybe what they should do is similar to how teams, in the NFL do Hard Knocks, where maybe you get a list of teams that are willing to play in the US. And then based off that and the calendar, they try to manipulate maybe a little bit and find that match, or maybe it's 2 matches a year. I think that I would be okay with, a max of
essentially they get rid of 2 away matches. Essentially, that's the thing. They don't take away any of the home matches. They just take away the away match.
Yeah. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way, and when there's enough money involved, they will find the way. So I'm confident of that. And on that note, look at that, under an hour. I told you it'd be a shorter show. Well, last week was an hour and a half?
Hour and a half. Yes.
So that will do it for us this week. We're going to actually probably pop upstairs and say hi to Diego.
Yep.
But please like, share, subscribe. You see all our socials down here at the bottom. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. our email. I do have to still add our website, www.cdunewburgh.com.
Yes. Please follow us at Twitch. We are 7 followers away.
Almost there to start doing our affiliate
Even
status.
if you don't watch Twitch, make one and follow us, please.
There you go. Jump into the Discord. It's a cool resource, and we actually just added a couple more channels this afternoon. So yeah, no, it's going to be a great time. And if you are on Twitch, definitely tune in to us on Friday evening. We'll probably have a couple of beers and watch US Ecuador and do our own commentary, and we'll have some fun with it. So thank you guys again. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, whoever.
Nope.
Share it, show them. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.